Yes, it's do or die time for Bitcoin, and we're going to find out what is the most probable scenario, because yes, we can see that Bitcoin is holding this level quite strong, but if we're going to break this level, we could expect a major dump towards the downside for Bitcoin, but maybe we're also getting this bounce and that we're going to see this massive pump towards the upside, reaching the $25,000 level. Guys, we're going to look at multiple time frames to find out what is the most likely scenario, but we're also going to look at the S&P 500 and the dollar currency index. Because yes, the S&P 500 and the dollar currency index are at a very critical level and they will decide in which direction Bitcoin goes. But we're also going to look at some positive crypto adoption news. But guys, overall it looks quite bearish. But yes, this just gives us opportunity because yes, the volatility is coming back into the markets. We are finally going to see in which direction Bitcoin will go. And if you want to find out in which direction we're going to see a breakout, watch the video until the end, smash up the like button and subscribe, and most importantly, activate the bell so that you always stay up to date. And now let's directly start with this content. So welcome back to B for Crypto, and yes, I hope you all had a great day. And guys, we're going to directly start on the daily chart to first look at the bigger perspective. And yes, we broke this very important $22,500 level for Bitcoin, and then we saw this sideways consolidation, this break of this very important horizontal support, and then Bitcoin perfectly bounced off from this trend line, and we saw this massive pump towards the upside, and now we saw this dump towards the downside. But Bitcoin is still holding quite strong, round about the levels of $23,000, and at the moment Bitcoin is holding this support. But guys, if we're going to lose this level, we could expect that at least Bitcoin is going to dump all the way down to this horizontal support at $22,500. But guys, I think that if we're going to see a move towards the downside, we're most probably going to come all the way back down to the $20,000 level. But let's go on the low time frames to really find out what is going to happen in the immediate short term. So first of all, on the 4-hour chart, we can see that Bitcoin had this dump all the way down to the level of $22,690, but then we got this massive bounce from these regions. And at the moment, Bitcoin is forming higher lows and also higher highs, as we can see here. But guys, the overall trend hasn't turned. We are still in this bearish downtrend, because if we want to turn this trend around, Bitcoin has to form higher highs. So Bitcoin has to at least come up to the level of 24,690 so that we can say that yes, Bitcoin is forming higher highs. And this would also be a bullish indication, because then if we're going to form a lower high, then we could expect that Bitcoin will come all the way back up to the $25,800. But guys, if we look at the bigger perspective, yes, the $25,300 is a very important level. And if we're going to break this level, we could expect that Bitcoin will at least come all the way up to the $26,000. But guys, this is now the bullish factor. At the moment, we can see that Bitcoin is holding the support. And yes, this 4-hour candle will close in round about 2 hours. So maybe we're going to see this wick towards the downside and a quick move towards the upside. And we're going to bounce off from these levels. But guys, now we're going to look at the S&P 500. And yes, the S&P 500 could give us a lead indication what is going to happen for Bitcoin in the immediate short term, because we could see we broke this very important trend line towards the upside for the S&P 500 exactly here, and we had this massive run towards the upside. This was also the time period where we saw that Bitcoin reached the $25,000, and then we saw this dump towards the downside, and we bounced off once. And at the moment we're bouncing off the second time from this very important level. So if we're going to see that the S&P 500 will break this level towards the downside, we could expect that we're going to see a major dump for Bitcoin, maybe even all the way back down to the $20,000 level. But if the S&P 500 will open positive and we're going to get this bounce towards the upside, we could expect that Bitcoin will also see a massive pump towards the upside, and that we're going to get this expected bounce from this trend line. So guys, we're going to compare the Bitcoin and the S&P 500, and then we can see, yes, let me first just rearrange all these charts. This is the daily chart for the S&P 500, exactly at this very important trend line, and here we can see the daily chart of Bitcoin. So both of these charts line up perfectly, and then we can see, yes, this was the time where we broke this very important trend line towards the upside, and it was exactly here. Bitcoin saw this move towards the upside a little bit earlier, but we could see that Bitcoin was holding for quite a while because we had this dump towards the downside for Bitcoin and the S&P 500 didn't dump quite as much. But we could see that Bitcoin had this pump all the way to the 25,000 US dollar level, where we could see that the S&P 500 was moving a little bit sideways. But guys, if we're going to see this move from the S&P 500 moving towards the downside, and we could expect that Bitcoin will reach lower price targets. But guys, if we're going to get this bounce, yes, Bitcoin will also see a price movement towards the upside, maybe even back to the 25,000 US dollar level. So guys, this open of the S&P 500 will be very important, which will occur in round about 29 minutes, where we're going to see, are we going to get a positive impulse and a positive move for Bitcoin and the overall markets, or are we going to see a dump towards the downside? Let's go on the dollar currency index to find out what the dollar currency index is doing at the moment. And yes, we could see that we lost this level, this very important support for the dollar currency index, because we had this parabolic run towards the upside, and then we saw this break exactly where Bitcoin reached this bottom, and then we could see this massive dump for the DXY, and we found support at the support box, and then we broke this support, and now we are back above the support, testing this trend line. And if we're going to see that the DXY will close above this trend line, and that we're going to see a positive impulse for the DXY, we could expect that the S&P 500 and Bitcoin will dump towards the downside. But if we're going to get this rejection exactly at this trend line, and that this was just a retest of this major dump towards the downside, we could expect positive markets for Bitcoin and the S&P 500. But guys, let's go on the logarithmic, on the long-term chart of Bitcoin to find out where in the cycle are we at the moment. And here we can see the green are the bull runs for Bitcoin and the red zones are the bear markets. And we could see that we were in this long bear market, and as we can see here, we are touching the 13 EMA on the monthly chart for Bitcoin. And let's go back in the cycles to find out what happened previously after we came back all the way to the 13 EMA. So in the year 2019, we could see after we have tested the 13 EMA, we saw that the next monthly candle broke through this area and we saw a massive pump towards the upside. So let's go to the 2015 cycle. We could see that yes, Bitcoin got a rejection from the 13 EMA, and then we came back down, reaching even a lower low for Bitcoin on the monthly chart. And then afterwards we saw that we broke this very important 13 EMA on the monthly chart, and then the bull run started. So what is going to happen now? Are we going to get this rejection and even form a lower low and the Wyckoff accumulation is still in place? Or are we going to break this with a monthly candle, with a March candle towards the upside like we did in the year 2019 and come all the way back up to our price target of 2023? And yes, my price target for the year 2023 is all the way at the levels of 47,000 US dollars for Bitcoin, because yes, we can see some major liquidity in these areas, and we also got a major rejection exactly here. So guys, this would be my price target. If we're going to see a rejection here, we could expect that yes, the Wyckoff accumulation pattern is still in place, and we could maybe come all the way back down to the 18,000 US dollar level and get this bounce and finally reach these price targets around the end of the year. Or we are going to see that yes, Bitcoin will break these levels and that we're going to see a massive run all the way up to these levels, and then maybe the correction before the next Bitcoin halving, which will happen round about in May next year. So we could expect that yes, we're going to see a high and then even come back maybe even to the levels of 25,000 US dollars tested as support, and then the real bull run will start after the Bitcoin halving next year, where we're most probably going to reach levels of over 100,000 US dollar for Bitcoin. So guys, this is the overall perspective, but let's look at some bullish crypto adoption news. Most Americans optimistic about Bitcoin and crypto, frustrated by the current monetary system. Most Americans would like to see the monetary system change, according to a study conducted on behalf of Coinbase. So let's go find out what are the most Americans thinking about cryptocurrencies. The survey found that 80% of Americans say that the global financial system is unfair, favors powerful interests. In addition, 67% said that the financial system needs a major overhaul. And yes, crypto is here to do exactly that. Interestingly, younger Americans are most likely to favor cryptocurrency and view it as worthwhile asset for the future. And yes guys, and this will also change, because yes, a lot of people realize that the monetary system is unfair and that it only favors a few people. So guys, let's go on and read, and here you can see the survey. Yes, 20% of Americans own cryptocurrency, despite the downturn in the broader cryptocurrency market as a result of various bankruptcies and failures in 2022, Americans constantly expressed interest in owning digital assets. Another interesting note is that current investors who already hold digital assets still hold a favorable view, with 84% likely to buy cryptocurrencies over the next 12 months. So guys, you can see that all this effort from the Federal Reserve and all the major governments to stop the crypto market is not working. Because yes guys, a lot of people are realizing that the politicians and also the reserve banks of the world are not in your favor. And guys, that's why it's so important to buy Bitcoin for the long term. Because yes guys, Bitcoin is here to stay, and it will change the monetary system for something better, for a fair, decentralized and also deflationary monetary system. So guys, if you want to buy cryptocurrencies, go down in the video description below and sign up with my BITGET link, where you receive a massive deposit bonus. And if you want to earn passive income, make sure to use the first link in the video description below, because guys, we're making a stable passive income of round about 1 to 5% on your investment. So guys, what are you waiting for to earn passive income and to have multiple income streams that you can diversify into crypto? So guys, let's go back on the daily chart, and yes, Bitcoin looks like that we're going to see a fake out towards the downside. Let's go on the 4-hour chart, and yes guys, it looks like that we're going to get this fake out and then the breakout towards the upside. But clearly, if we're going to close this 4-hour candle underneath this trend line, we could expect that Bitcoin will reach the first price target of $22,500. But guys, it all depends what is going to happen with the dollar currency index, if we're going to get this rejection exactly here and that we're going to see that DXY will go even lower, or we're going to see that the S&P 500 will finally get the bounce from these regions, because the markets open in round about 14 minutes. If you want to find out more, make sure to watch all of my videos, smash up the like button and subscribe and activate the bell. And guys, you have to be for crypto, and we see each other in the next video.